What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Spring Cup using a triple buff team with Wing Attack Pelipper, Low Kick Shadow Chestnut, and Psycho Car Hisuian Decidueye, where I was able to go on a 10-game win streak, my longest win streak so far this season, and going 17-3 overall. Now I really didn't expect this, but the MVP of this team was by far Hisuian Decidueye, sweeping so many games and pulling wins out of literally nowhere. It was honestly insane to see, and despite the fact that Psycho Cut is non-stab and even after its buff, it's not exactly a hard-hitting fast move, I did genuinely notice the difference with these battles. Also, let's quickly have a moment of silence for my incredibly low Stardust count. I'm actually doing alright for TMs at the start of the season for the first time possibly ever, but I just cannot afford to keep building new Pokemon. You'll see in tomorrow's video where a lot of my Stardust has gone recently, which unfortunately, the Pokemon I invested in were very underwhelming, but anyways, if you appreciate the resource investment that goes into the content that I make, please make sure you leave a like and hype the video. And with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. How much Stardust do you have right now, and do you have a certain threshold that you will never go below? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. So go into the first battle, leading Pelipper into Slowbro. Now, Slowbro is a little bit of an awkward matchup for me just because whilst I've got two Grass-type Pokemon in the back, they're going to take super effective damage from the Confusions, and they actually both have resisted Fast Food Pressure, and as well, they're just going to go straight for Drain Punch. Honestly, the fact that they went for Drain Punch, they're probably going to shield the first charge move, and they do, so maybe could have gotten away with baiting with a Weather Ball, and at this point, honestly, I have to start shielding. Drain Punch will put me into range where they can Confusion Farm me down before I get to another Hurricane. So this time, we're going to full send it again. They no shield, but because they are double boosted in their defense, that does not get the KO. Now, they blind throw another Drain Punch. We are getting incredibly low already, but we do get the low kick farm down, and the opponent's going to come in with a Shadow Abomasnow. So, of course, the opponent does not know this, but I'm not on superpower, but we grab the final shield anyways, and the opponent going to stay in with the Abomasnow and fire off a Weather Ball. Of course, Weather Ball going to be super effective. I'm going to use my final shield. I look to overfarm, and the opponent comes in with a Ferrothorn, and this is a brilliant matchup for me. Aura Sphere gonna connect, it does big damage, I can now overfarm, throwing on CMP, and of course, Aura Sphere number 2 gets the KO, and Decidueye not done yet, we can reach a third Aura Sphere into Shadow Abomasnow, Aura Sphere gets the one shot, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We're going to see Empoleon in the lead. Now, this is a bit of an awkward matchup for me because if I swap out, Chestnut is going to be outpaced to the charge move. However, they're actually on Waterfall. This is, I believe, the only Waterfall Empoleon I have seen in this meta so far. I think, for the most part, the Metal Sound Fast Food is going to be better. Unfortunately, met with a Mantine here, but we've got Thunder Punch specifically for this matchup, except it doesn't even get the KO from Shadow Chestnut. That is quite disappointing. Of course, if I was on Vine Whip, we'd have neutral Fast Food Pressure. Maybe I put them into range where I could farm them down there, but either way, doesn't really matter. We're going to come in, Pelipper absolutely loaded, but we are very low in HP, so I go for a Weather Ball. I try to go for a slight undercharge there. It doesn't work out, and then I just throw straight away up against the Empoleon. Hurricane grabs a shield, and now I swap into my Decidueye. Of course, I'm going to have to shield this. Drill Peck is going to hit for double super effective damage, but now I can actually outpace them since they are going to be on Waterfall. And of course, the Energy Generation is better this season, but still Psycho Car incredibly fast, and the opponent tries to catch an Aura Sphere onto Gastrodon. That backfires. Trailblaze, double super effective, gets the one shot, boosts up my attack stat, and of course we reach yet another Aura Sphere, taking out Empoleon, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's to put there into the next battle. We're going to see Wigglytuff in the lead. So, this is definitely where we want to see it. Still not a super comfortable matchup for me, but I can farm up throw after 7 wing attacks here, making sure to throw on good timing, going for the Weather Ball just before they reach a Swift, and the opponent is actually going to farm up to a potential Icy Wind. I'm actually going to shield this here as the opponent is going to go ahead and debuff my attack stat. I don't really mind as long as I can get rid of the Wigglytuff. We go for Weather Ball number 2, and they are actually going to shield, but we can reach a third Weather Ball before they throw a charge move. However, the opponent going to double shield and commit to a full charm farm down. Now, even in its shadow form, Chestnut is still probably going to tank moves slightly better than Decidueye, so I no shield the Icy Wind. I go for the low kick farm down. I am so low right now, and they've got a second fairy type. That is really not good for me, but of course, I'm still going to try and play this out here. I'm going to use my shield as they go for a sludge, but the opponent, they make a huge mistake. They swap into Swampert, and we've got so much energy, so we're going straight for Trailblaze. Trailblaze, super effective. effective. It boosts up my attack stat, and now I can throw on CMP. And remember, all my charge moves, they are resisted, but that probably puts them into range where Thunder Punch KOs. Well, it certainly does, but it just depends. Can Chestnut get there? Honestly, I forgot which side Thunder Punch was on, but at the last second, I get it right. Thunder Punch gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on their into next battle. We're going to see Pelipper into Shadow Empoleon. So once again, bit awkward for me. This time they are going to be on Metal Sand. I'm actually just going to stay in here, wait for them to throw, and then I will swap into Chestnut. However, I'm still going to be slightly behind on energy, as since the opponent does throw straight away, I'm always going to get a one-turn swap out. But the opponent's going to come in with a Pokemon that unfortunately is going to completely wall my energy here. However, they commit to a full farm down, and that does allow me to reach a second Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch actually going to be shielded by the opponent. Now, I know they've got a lot of energy here, but I'm going to throw straight away, because what I don't want to do, go for an extra fast move and then CMP tie with the next Leaf Blade, because I've lost track of their energy. So we get the KO there with the Weather Ball. They come back in with Empoleon, and I'm actually just going to force them to throw their energy straight away. Once again, Decidueye is going to look to try and sweep this game, and the opponent comes in with a Shadow Venusaur, which is not ideal for me. However, Psycho Cut's dealing more damage this season. Of course, I am resisting the Vine Whip damage from the Shadow Venusaur, and honestly, we've done a lot of damage here with the Psycho Cuts. We will eventually put them into range where hopefully Aura Sphere will get the KO. This is the moment of truth. Aura Sphere resisted damage, gets the knockout, and of course, I can still outpace the Empoleon to the next Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere gets the KO, and again, Hisuian Decidueye sweeping in the end game. Absolutely coming in clutch for me once again. But GG's to that trainer into next battle. We're going to see Ferrothorn in the lead now. I built this backline specifically for Ferrothorn, and in my first few battles, well, actually my first full set, I did not see a single one. I was like, where the hell are all the Ferrothorn at? But it's okay. We did see a lot of them in the end. We just got a bit unlucky with the start. But either way, gonna go for a Frenzy Plant there. The opponent, I believe, trying to catch a Superpower onto their Gelatin, but it backfires massively. As now we've got so much energy. I do grab I grab both shields from the opponent. I'm gonna shield. They actually bait with a Surf, but it's not gonna make a difference. I can still reach the next Frenzy Plant. And Frenzy Plant from Shadow Chestnut gets the KO there. They have a loaded Ferrothorn, but that's fine with me unless they're running Flash Cannon. They really can't deal damage to me. They're going to be forced to use all of their energy straight away, which means, once again, that sets up Decidueye for the sweep. Now, at this point, if they throw immediately, this is just going to be another power. This is resisted damage, so I'm actually just going to no-shield this, and now look to massively overfarm in this matchup, farming up to very close to 100 energy. Now we go for the Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere going to get the KO, and they're going to have Empoleon in the back. So once again, there is nothing they can do there, and so they just concede the match. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We're going to see another Ferrothorn in the lead. So, once again, this is a great matchup for my backline. I'm going to try and swap out, and I'm able to make a catch this time around. Catching what I assume to be... No, never mind. I was going to say assumed to be a Thunder, but no, they actually baited there with a Power Whip. Either way, it doesn't matter. Both are resisted. Then I'm going to come in with a Shadow Galarian Weezing, and the opponent is actually going to be forced to throw some energy. Otherwise, I reach a second Thunder Punch. They go for a Sludge. That's fine with me. They do overfarm quite a bit here, but that's okay. We did leave with a lot of energy on our Pelipper, so I'm going straight for Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to be shielded by the opponent. That is quite surprising to me. So you know what? I might as well match shields here. They might be weak to Pelipper in the back. The opponent is going to swap back into Ferrothorn, but that is fine with me. I'm actually going to no shield here, as the opponent is going to go ahead and go for a Thunder. That is definitely the wrong play. Power Whip is going to do more damage, as it is Stab. Either way, don't really care. We go for Aura Sphere. We get the KO. They come in with Galarian Weezing, and we can go straight for Trailblaze. Trailblaze going to be no shielded. It boosts up my attack stat. We get the Psycho Cut farm down. And again, they're going to have Empoleon in the back. And things are looking incredible for Hisuian Decidueye. Aura Sphere grabs the final shield. But still not done yet. We can reach yet another Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere boosted. Gets the one shot. And I'm able to take that game. So, GG's opponent into the next battle. We're going to see Golisopod in the lead. So, a great lead matchup for me. However, the opponent's going to swap into their own Pelipper. And that is not really ideal for me at all, because I've got two Pokemon that are double weak to the flying typing. So, I'm going to no-shield here, as I recognize since they threw before me. Before I got to a Hurricane, that was only going to be a Weather Ball. And this time, I farm up to the Hurricane, but I bait with a Weather Ball. I'm able to grab a shield there. The opponent goes for another Weather Ball, realizing I probably would no-shield this. And I'm just hoping they do not double shield. But the opponent going to do exactly that, and now I'm forced to swap out into my Chestnut. Now, I don't know if this is a Hurricane. I'm not taking any risks here. I'm throwing straight away. Thunder Punch will guarantee the KO here. And whilst, yes, I did just use a shield on a resisted Weather Ball, I don't really care too much. They come back in with Galissapod, and the opponent going to look to overfarm here, meaning Thunder Punch going to deal big damage, and the opponent cannot commit to a full farm down. So, of course, I'm going to let Chestnut go down once again. Decidueye has a shield advantage, and it is looking primed to sweep. So the opponent's going to swap out. They swap into Toedscrawl, and this is amazing for me. I'm going to resist the Mud Slap damage, also going to resist the Seed Bomb damage. They can go for a Wrap. However, Wrap not really going to deal too much damage here, so I'm going to no-shield the first one just in case they do reach a second. However, actually, by no-shielding there, I can now just safely farm up to back-to-back Aura Spheres. Of course, I'm already boosted. Aura Sphere number 1 gets the KO there, and despite being resisted damage into Galissapod coming back in, Aura Sphere number 2 gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We're going to see Ferrothorn in the lead once again. So once again, I'm going to stay in this matchup here. Going to look to try and catch a potential Thunder onto my Chestnut. However, the opponent actually going to go straight for a Power Whip, not throwing on the best timings. You know what, this time, I'm actually just going to swap out straight away into the Chestnut, and they come in with a Pelipper. Now I'm going straight for Thunder Punch here. The opponent does not respect it. It easily gets the one shot, but now they come in with a Gorgeist, which would have been a much better answer to my Chestnut, but either way, that's fine with me. Frenzy Plant going to deal decent damage there, and we do have a lot of energy on the Pelipper. So the opponent is going to come back in, or sorry, they are going to go for an extra Incinerate as we come back in with the Pelipper. And at this point, I think I'm just going to double shield here. The opponent does have back-to-back Seed Bombs. I don't want to throw straight away just in case they try and catch it onto the Ferrothorn. They go for the second Seed Bomb there. They swap into Ferrothorn, and now we should be looking good. Even if they do have Flash Cannon, which we haven't seen so far, I will be able to tank this, and it is the Flash Cannon, but they are never going to Bullet Seed farm me down. So I farm up as much as possible here. Doesn't really make a huge difference. All I needed to do is put myself into range where a single Incinerate will guarantee the KO, as the opponent does not have the energy for a Seed Bomb just yet, meaning, just to be safe, I can full send a Hurricane. Hurricane easily gets the KO there. Massive overkill, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We're going to see Gorgeist in the lead this time around. So this is definitely where we want to see it. The opponent's going to swap into Empoleon, and I will swap out straight away into Shadow Chestnut. Now, this is actually a slightly awkward matchup for me because we can just barely, not quite, go for a full low kick farm down in the 2-shield scenario unless I just don't throw any charge moves at all, because, of course, if I don't throw, then I'm not giving up any extra low kicks. However, if they do want to play the 2-shield scenario out, they will just barely reach a 3rd Drill Peck. So if they do shield here, I would swap back into Pelipper. However, the opponent is going to no shield. They come back in with the Gorgeist. Whilst this is resisted damage, Frenzy Plant's still going to chunk a fair bit, and so I swap back into Pelipper. Now I'm going to no shield this, of course. I have no shields remaining. They full send the Shadow Ball, but they swap into Togekiss, and unfortunately, there's really not much I can do right now. I figured my only win condition is if they no shield the first charge move and I nuke them with a Hurricane, but unfortunately that does not occur, and of course, whatever they throw here, they actually go for a Dazzling Gleam. That is easily going to get the one-shot peck, gets the farm down up against the Chestnut, and unfortunately, I do finally lose a game. But GG's up on there into the next battle. We're going to see Galarian Weezing in the lead. So this is definitely where we want to see it for this team. I'm going to no-shield the first charge move as they are just going to go straight for a Sludge, which I am able to tank. Now they swap into a Seaking, and I make a big mistake. I just saw the water typing. I swapped out straight away. But they are on peck, and they are dealing so much damage with the fast moves. Also, they did outpace me to that first charge move as well. I go for Thunder Punch there. I'm actually not even able to reach a second Thunder Punch, so probably should have gone for Frenzy Plant. Either way, doesn't really matter. We are not in a great spot, but I was just one away from a Hurricane. Please, trainer, just no-shield this. They do let the Sea King go down. That is quite nice for me. And if they come back in with the Weezing, then I'm actually going to pace the same to the Weather Ball here as their next Sludge, and I'm able to win CMP. So Weather Ball is going to be shielded by the opponent. I'm going to no-shield, once again, put all of my faith into a one-shield Hisuian Decidueye, and let's see what it can do. Now, the opponent makes a big mistake there. They tried to catch a charge move, but I was always going to go for Trailblaze anyways, and now I can just boost up my attack stat, look to throw on CMP, win CMP comfortably with Decidueye. Trailblaze gets the KO there, and now my Psycho Cuts are double boosted. They can farm up close to back-to-back Sludges, but it's just not going to be enough. We're already at another Trailblaze, and Decidueye once again coming in clutch for me in the end game to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle. We're going to see Pelipper into a Tentacruel. Now, I will say poison types in general were pretty tricky for this team, especially a fairly bulky poison type like the Tentacruel here, as the opponent is going to go ahead and full send a Sludge Wave, which does huge damage. I'm also going to full send here. There's no reason not to. Hurricane, going to be shielded, and now I will swap into my Decidueye. This is basically the only time I swapped into Decidueye, just because I felt like I needed that Psycho Cut fast move pressure, but the opponent makes a really nice catch there, catching a resisted Trailblaze. I did actually try to wait a turn there just to make sure they didn't make the catch, and then I just clicked on the move anyways. I don't know why I do that, but either way, Aura Sphere gets the KO. They come in with their final Pokemon, which is going to be a Whimsicott, and honestly, I don't know why I'm going for Trailblaze here. Yes, I am going to boost up my attack stat, but I was intending on swapping out anyways. I might as well have gone for the Aura Sphere. However, the opponent, in committing to a full farm down, allows me to reach a Weather Ball, and I do grab the final shield. Now, I do have one win condition here, and that's if the opponent swaps out of this matchup here, loaded on energy, and they do exactly that. I think maybe they saw the typing in the top left corner and maybe thought, you know what, they're probably coming back in with Decidueye, and now I no shield the Scald. I farm up to back-to-back Thunder Punches. Scald does not debuff my attack stat. Thunder Punch gets the KO, and it is non-stab. It is resisted damage, but from this range, Thunder Punch gets the KO up against the Whimsicott, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle. We're going to see Shadow Victory Belt in the lead. So this is, I guess, where we want to see it for the team. Still a little bit tricky just because Weather Balls are resisted, but of course wing attacks are super effective. They are certainly going to add up over time, but the opponent swaps out into Jellicent to try and catch a charge move. Now, I might as well shield the first move because they're pretty much guaranteed to full send a Shadow Ball, and if I no shield that, I put myself into range where they can probably Hex Farm me down, whereas now I will at least force the opponent to throw a second Shadow Ball. Now, I'm already boosted. They're probably going to double shield here. It makes a lot of sense to do that, and so the opponent going to double shield. And unfortunately, Decidueye, you're going to see, does not have any bulk. When all shields are down, it is going to struggle, and as well, yes, Psycho Cuts did a decent amount of damage there. They will put them into Frenzy Plant range. I could not risk throwing straight away, just in case the opponent tried to catch onto the Victory Bell. However, in not throwing, I get myself into range where I'm just way too low. I go for Weather Ball. I should have just full sent the Hurricane there, and as a result, Leaf Blade gets the KO. I'm in range where a single Acid gets the farm down, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up on there into the next battle. We're going to see Shadow Ferrothorn in the lead. So once again, going to look to try and make a catch of the Thunder onto my Chestnut. And this time the opponent going to hold onto the energy before coming in with Galarian Weezing. Now we can go straight for Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch, of course, not going to deal too much damage. And my low kicks are unfortunately double resisted. However, they end up throwing on CMP. And apparently, we end up winning CMP here. So honestly, I didn't really know like the CMP ties for Pelipper and Chestnut. I feel like a lot of Pokemon are very close in their attack stat for this meta. So it can be a little bit risky to try and throw on CMP, but either way, we go for the CMP tie. Pelipper does win CMP here. Unfortunately, not able to quite get the KO there, but I can go for the full farm down. Now I'm going to swap into Decidueye, and the opponent sees me swap. They swap out into a Swampert of all things. We can go for Trailblaze. Trailblaze, gonna grab the final shield. It's going to boost up my attack stat, and you guys already know what's going to happen here. We're already boosted. Not that we need the boost for this matchup, but we can go for a second Trailblaze. Trailblaze is double super effective. It gets the one shot. They come back in, and you know what? We might as well shield. We are just gonna assume that they are gonna go for a what's the word? Flash Cannon. They did not. It doesn't really matter. Aura Sphere, super effective. Gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We're going to see another Ferrothorn in the lead. So once again, fine matchup for me. We're going to look to try and catch the charge move onto my Chestnut. And again, this time they don't farm up to the Thunder, so I don't need to shield this, but I will swap out immediately afterwards as we come in with a Chestnut, and the opponent comes in with a Gourgeist. Now, of course, not a great matchup. They are going to completely wall me, but they cannot commit to a full farm down. So Frenzy Plant does decent damage, and if they Seed Bomb here, I'm going to reach another Frenzy Plant. So I no shield, and they do bait with a Seed Bomb, and Frenzy Plant is going to two-shot them here. So the opponent is going to be forced to use a shield. That is fine with me. However, Pelipper, of course, is very low. So I'm going to shield the next charge move. They go for the Seed Bomb. They swap back into Ferrothorn, and again, we come in with Decidueye. This time around, I don't believe they farmed up to a Flash Cannon. No, never mind. I'm going to shield, and it is the Flash Cannon there. So maybe I was just thinking of a different game. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to look to overfarm as much as possible. I go for Aura Sphere, not expecting a shield. The opponent going to come back in with a Gourgeist, and I can go for a Trailblaze. Trailblaze. Of course, Trailblaze is resisted damage, but it puts them into Psycho Cut farm down range, so they're forced to swap out into their final Pokemon. But unfortunately for them, it is going to be a Shift Tree, and unless they've got Hurricane, which they're actually not at yet just yet anyways, then they cannot get the KO here. Foul Play doesn't do enough damage. It is resisted. We can go for a boosted Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere easily gets the one shot, and we can actually Psycho Cut, farm down the Gourgeist to take that game. So, GG to open there into the next battle. We're going to see Empoleon in the lead. So once again, bit of an awkward matchup for me here, as I can't really swap out just straight away because they will outpace me to the charge move. So I stay in here. They're still going to outpace me anyways, but we come in with a Chestnut, and again met with a Gourgeist. So, like I mentioned already, if they go for Seed Bomb, then they will not get the KO here. So they will be forced to full send a Shadow Ball if they want to get rid of me. So I'm going to no-shield this, and the opponent is going to once again go for Seed Bomb there, but unfortunately, I'm not quite able to reach a Frenzy Plant this time. So Thunder Punch doesn't really deal too much damage. They did shield the first one as well, which is not ideal for me. I'm going to come back in with the Pelipper. At this point, I probably have to start shielding the Seed Bombs. They go for Seed Bomb, that's fine with me. They swap back into Empoleon, but unfortunately behind on energy. This is not a great matchup, as of course, I'm going to shield. I will full send the Aura Sphere. I'm going to overfarm as much as I can here and throw just before they reach the next charge move. If they do end up overfarming, maybe we get to another charge move, but nope, the opponent gonna throw immediately as they get to draw pack number 2. We can come back in with the Pelipper, and I didn't realize this, but we actually lose CMP to the Empoleon. Hurricane, would that have KO'd? I don't really know, but either way, we end up losing there. The opponent, very convincing win up against me, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to our trainer into the next battle. We're gonna see a Togetic in the lead, so that's where we want to see it, except they swap out straight away into Togekiss, and that is really strange. I'm not really sure about the team that we're seeing right here. Do they have a Togepi in the back? I don't really know. Either way, we're going to shield the side shot. We kind of need to keep our Pelipper alive because we are going to struggle massively up against the Togetic in the back. So at this point, I'm going to be forced to double shield here, which I don't really want to do because my backline really does appreciate having shields in play, especially since the opponent does make a really nice catch there, catching a resisted Weather Ball onto Ferrothorn. But I'm going to bank another Weather Ball and then come in with my Chestnut. And again, even if they full send a Flash Cannon here, Chestnut is going to be able to tank that. I'm now going to look to overfarm as much as possible. I actually end up throwing on CMP, which you could argue maybe is a bit of a risk. I don't expect a shield, but they do end up shielding. So let's see what we want to do here. The opponent is, of course, going to get the KO with the Power Whip. We do lose some energy and some pretty useful coverage there in Thunder Punch, but they swap back into Togekiss. Let's go for Side Shock. I'm going to come back in with the Pelipper, and let's see what they want to do. The opponent is thinking about it. They're going to come back in with the Ferrothorn, but they're in range where I can just Wing Attack farm them down. I come out with so much energy here. I'm going for the Hurricane first. Hurricane does decent damage. I'm now going to look to overfarm. I tried to throw in CMP. The opponent is committing to the farm down, but Weather Ball gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent into the final battle of this video, leading into a Gourgeist this time around. So this is where we want to see it for the team. Still a little bit awkward for me, but I don't have to shield this. Seed Bomb or Shadow Ball, they are both neutral, and I am resisting the fast food pressure. They bait with a Seed Bomb. That's fine with me. I'm also going to bait here with a Weather Ball, and Weather Ball is going to be shielded. At this point, we don't actually have the energy for a Hurricane. However, I realize 2 Weather Balls will KO anyways, and the opponent, in trying to throw on good timing, allows me to reach a third Weather Ball, and Weather Ball gets the KO. Then I'm going to come in with Jellicent. I'm going to swap into Chestnut, and unfortunately for the opponent, they come in with a Shadow Empoleon. Thunder Punch is going to grab the final shield, and you know what? This time, because it is a Shadow Empoleon, I can just double shield in this matchup, commit to a full low kick farm down, and I'm going to come out with a Frenzy Plant loaded, which of course is going to be pretty useful into the Jellicent coming back in. So, Frenzy Plant from Shadow Chestnut. Does this get the one shot? The opponent actually hangs on there, but it doesn't really make a difference. The opponent realizes it's game over, and so able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.